He stormed down the narrow aisle of the city bus like he owned the world, confident, loud, and full of himself. His hoodie was bright red, like a warning sign. Everyone could feel the tension rise the moment he stepped on. He didn't look around, didn't say hello. He was on a mission. And in just a few seconds, he was about to humiliate an old man in front of everyone. Or so he thought. Because what happened next? No one saw it coming. But before we dive into what really happened that day, and trust me, this isn't just about a seat, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like life was stacked against you? Like no matter how hard you try, success and abundance seem just out of reach? If that rings true, then you need to check out something powerful I recently discovered. It's called the 369 Manifestation Code, a simple 3-digit technique said to unlock doors to outrageous wealth, peace, and transformation, in as little as 24 hours. I know it sounds unbelievable, but the results speak for themselves. People all over the world are changing their lives, and it starts with this one code. Backhand index pointing right. The link is in the first pinned comment. Don't miss your chance to discover it for yourself. Now, back to the bus. Back to him. His name was Jason, 21, full of opinions, and rarely told no. He grew up in a home where everything was given, not earned. His parents praised his independence, but truthfully, it was entitlement disguised as confidence. Jason believed the world owed him something, and he wasn't afraid to demand it. That day, the bus was unusually crowded. A cold wind whipped outside the windows, people clutched their coats tighter. Jason boarded, scanning for a seat like a predator scans for prey. Then he saw him, an elderly man, perhaps in his 80s, seated comfortably near the front. The man wore a gray coat, a flat cap, and gloves that had clearly seen better days. He sat quietly, hands resting on a cane, eyes gazing peacefully out the window. But to Jason, that seat was his. He didn't care who was in it, only that he wanted it. Without hesitation, Jason raised his voice. "Hey! That's my seat. Get up." The bus fell silent. Everyone turned. The elderly man turned slowly, confused, maybe even thinking Jason was speaking to someone else. Jason took a step closer. "Yeah, you. I don't care how old you are. I paid my fare. That's a priority seat, and I want it. Now." The driver glanced up in the mirror, passengers froze, unsure what to do. Some pulled out phones. Others looked away, uncomfortable. The old man didn't argue. He didn't shout. He simply looked up with calm eyes and said, "Son, you're mistaken. But I won't argue with you." And with effort, he began to stand. Jason scoffed. "Exactly. About time someone showed me some respect." But the moment the old man rose from his seat, something happened. Something that turned the energy of the entire bus upside down. A woman near the back stood up. "Sir, please sit back down," she said, her voice shaking. "That seat is yours. You don't have to move." Jason spun around. "Mind your business." But now others began to speak up. "He didn't need to move. You're the one being disrespectful. He was there first. Why are you yelling at someone twice your age?" Jason's face flushed. He hadn't expected resistance. He was used to getting what he wanted, not being challenged. And now, his arrogance was being exposed, not privately, but in public. On camera. In real time. Still, pride wouldn't let him back down. He sneered, arms crossed. "None of you know me. You think he deserves it more because he's old? I've got back pain too. What's the difference?" That's when the old man spoke again. Quiet, steady, and without an ounce of anger. "I've seen war. Lost friends. Worked 2 jobs for 40 years. I raised a family. Buried a wife. And now, I ride this bus every morning to visit her grave. If you think I'm taking something from you by sitting, take the seat. But understand this, respect isn't earned by shouting. It's earned by listening. You could hear a pin drop. Jason didn't know what to say. The words hit him harder than a slap. Suddenly, the seat didn't matter. He realized, he had just tried to humiliate a man who had lived through things he couldn't begin to imagine. Someone near the back whispered, "Damn." Jason looked around. Every pair of eyes was on him, not with admiration, but with disappointment. For the first time in a long time, he felt small. But that moment of silence? It wouldn't last. Because what happened next would turn the entire situation into something no one on that bus would ever forget. Jason stood frozen. His pride, once inflated like a balloon, now seemed to deflate with every heartbeat. The weight of the old man's words hung in the air, echoing louder than any shout. And then, something unexpected happened. From the far back of the bus, a small child, no older than 7, turned to her mother and asked, just loud enough for everyone to hear, "Mommy, why is that man yelling at Grandpa?" It was innocent. Honest. But it shattered whatever mask Jason still wore. He turned his face away, trying to shield himself from the stares, but it was no use. The damage was done. He could feel it, not just the judgment, but the awareness, that he had become the villain in his own story. Still standing, the elderly man gently placed a hand on Jason's arm. Not to push him. Not to scold. But to offer understanding. "Everyone has bad days," he said softly. "But it's what you do after that matters most." Jason didn't answer right away. He just looked at the man. Really looked, not as an obstacle or a target, but as a human being. A life. A story. And for the first time, Jason's voice dropped. Quiet. Almost ashamed. "I'm sorry." It wasn't just a polite apology. It was real. It cracked through the shell he'd built around himself. And in that crack, something else began to grow. Humility. The man nodded. Apology accepted. "Now, why don't we both sit? There's room." Jason blinked, confused. He looked at the bench seat and realized, he hadn't noticed the extra space beside the old man. In his rush to claim the spot, he had assumed it was his or no one's. But now, he saw the truth, there had been space all along. His ego just hadn't let him see it. They sat side by side in silence. The bus rolled on. No more shouting. No more tension. Just the hum of the engine and the quiet murmur of city life outside the window. And something else. Respect. A few minutes passed before Jason spoke again. "You said you visit her grave every morning, your wife?" The man nodded. 52 years. She was my compass. Still is. Jason stared ahead. "I've never had anyone like that. Never even met someone who loved like that." "You will," the man said. "But only if you learn to see people before you judge them. Everyone's carrying something. Some people wear it loud. Others carry it quiet. But we're all carrying." Jason thought about that for a long while. Long after the man got off at his stop. Long after the bus pulled away. He didn't speak for the rest of the ride. But when he stood up to leave, he didn't push anyone. He didn't demand anything. He simply nodded at the driver and said, "Thank you." It was a small change. But real change always starts small. Moral of the story. In a world that moves fast, where everyone's trying to get ahead, to prove themselves, to demand what they think they deserve, we often forget the simplest truth. Respect isn't owed. It's offered. It's in how we treat strangers. How we react when no one's watching. How we listen when we'd rather speak. Jason didn't lose anything that day. He gained everything. He lost a bit of pride, and gained perspective. He lost the illusion of superiority, and found humility. And maybe, just maybe, that was the seat he really needed. If this story made you feel something, if it reminded you of the power of empathy, of listening, of second chances, then don't leave without subscribing. There are more stories like this. Real, raw, and honest. Click subscribe, leave a like, and tell us in the comments, have you ever witnessed a moment where someone's ego was shattered, and something better took its place? And don't forget, if you're ready to open new doors in your own life, check out the 369 manifestation code in the pinned comment. Your next 24 hours could change everything.